7 stages of relating.
Stage 4, commitment. Hi, I'm Bec from Be Free Emotional Fitness Training, and I support women and girls to become emotionally stronger.
And I'm Vern from Move Forward Mentoring, and I specialise in male mentoring, helping boys and men find their passion, speak from their heart, and build better relationships.
And together we are rekindling relationships. We work with couples through mentoring sessions as well as facilitating communication and creative workshops to build deeper connections.
Welcome to our podcast, designed to help you strengthen and bring more fun into your partnership, as well as create a more loving, healthy, and strong connection.
Hello everyone.
Hi everyone.
And this one we're going to talk about commitment.
Yep, stage 4 in our 7 stages of relationships. So it's right in the middle there, isn't it? The 4th stage.
It is.
So tell me about the 4th stage.
Well, this is a stage where you fully accept your partner for who they are and you choose to be with them.
And in choosing to be with them means you commit to that relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So commitment's a big one.
It's a huge one.
Like we've actually got engaged not that long ago. So I took the step into commitment, which, yeah,
It's pretty exciting.
Few people out there didn't think would actually happen, you included.
You blew us all away.
Yeah. I came out of the blue, proposed. She definitely wasn't ready for that, were you?
No, it was pretty special.
Yeah. And, that is part of our ongoing commitment to each other. I know that for you, commitment was a really important aspect of our relationship, and probably one I didn't really think too much about. I mean, I've come from a pretty varied background. It's been very fluid, is a word you like to use. I've had lots of jobs. I've lived in lots of places. I've lived in lots of houses, and I've been in quite a few relationships. So the act of committing to a stable, grounded relationship has not been something on my radar. It's not been something I thought about too much, but I realised that with you it was really important, so that helped me to think more about it and realise that actually that's what I wanted as well.
Yeah, nice. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's important to a lot of people. I think it's that foundation, that solid foundation as to whether it's going to stay together and keep going, isn't it?
Whether it's going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's that safe foundation.
Yeah. And once you've gone through those first 3 stages, which is that passion, and then it's the discovering each other and working each other out, and then stepping into, there's going to be conflict and how do we navigate that? We can actually get to that next space where we go, we understand each other better and we know how to sort out our problems. We know how to work through our issues. So now we can actually step into a deeper connection and commitment with each other.
Do you know what's really interesting about this? As I was reading up about the different stages and I really thought about it, how obvious these different stages were in our relationship.
Do you mean that when you read about it, you're like, I can see when that happened. I can see when that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because I can't say I'd seen that in previous relationships, or they'd stopped maybe before a certain time.
Okay, they'd only got to 1 stage or 2 stages.
A couple of stages maybe. Or, the long-term relationship, I think I was very, very, very young. There was maybe vital stages that didn't happen because of being young, like the conflict stage, So I can see in our relationship just how definite these stages have been for us.
Funny you actually mentioned that now that you brought that to my attention. It's like, we've been through this. We probably didn't think about that when we started podcasting.
No, but it would have been, and I can see how helpful this would be if people are finding themselves in one of these stages where they go, okay, that's normal.
Yeah, this is actually part of the growth of a relationship.
And to expect it.
Yeah. When we look at when children grow, they get to, these certain milestones. And we go, that's where they're supposed to be. And that's the same with a relationship, I guess.
Could you say you've seen the definite stages in previous relationships?
I think, like you said, there's probably in different relationships where I've either got stuck on a stage or 2, I haven't progressed to another stage, or I was too young to really probably analyse it as much as that, or I didn't really pay much attention. And the relationship was sort of happening, but it wasn't that, we were building this big commitment. It was just like, oh yeah, this thing's going on and do. And I think with us, it's been way more intentional. And that's probably because, we didn't just meet young and, we're all rainbows and happiness. We actually have known each other for a few years. We decided to become a couple. Then there was that sort of getting to know each other deeper. And then COVID hit and we went, wow, we need to move in together because we want to see each other. We want to be with each other more. And that's when we sort of like moved into that next stage really fast, where it was that real deeper discovery of each other, having to live with each other, where I think that's when a lot of times the wheels might fall off a relationship when you're living together and it's warts and all and there's things come up, but we all of a sudden we were doing that and we're like, oh, this is actually works really well. But then it was going past the physical stuff to the emotional stuff and having to manage through that, and both of us coming with our own sets of stuff and working through it. But yeah, I can see now that we have moved really into that commitment stage of wanting to share this life together.
Yeah, and I think that we find it quite fascinating that we are not raised in the school system or even necessarily have a great example by our caregivers of a good relationship and how that functions. And they might be right down another stage. So we've never seen the stages. So it's really interesting to bring awareness to actually how a relationship in general functions and how that can help you through those stages.
Do you think that if we know that, then we get better at relationships each time?
Well, we might just be more aware of the stages because we might accept it where we go, oh, this is the conflict stage, but this person actually isn't my person. I don't know if I knew the stages so much, but I think I could get to a point or see a point in a relationship where I'm like, oh, our values might not be the same or our interests are so different. Maybe this person isn't really my person. And I can see that stage. That was probably about the second stage, isn't it, really? Or maybe third.
Yeah, it's the discovery, isn't it? It's sort of in between that discovery and conflict where you're like, oh, is what's actually happening? And
so I reckon I had a few of those.
Yeah, I've had a lot of those too, I think. And I don't think I've actually I think I have stepped into this more committed stage, but without having done the work before that. And that's the problem is like the commitment. If you've done the commitment and you haven't actually done the discovery and haven't worked through how to deal with conflict and had those conversations, then the commitment's not on solid ground, is it?
Yeah, that's right. It's like learning to run before you can actually crawl.
Yeah. And with that commitment comes trust. And that's the trust that you need to actually deepen in your relationship.
Yeah, to make it keep going forward, to get deeper and stronger.
And then in that trust and that commitment then allows both people to be more of themselves and to maybe reach for things that they might not have thought of before in their personal life or in their business life, is actually when you've got someone with you who you really feel you've got a good connection with and you're committed to each other and you trust each other, you have this support which allows you to reach higher in the world, I think.
Yeah, that is the beautiful thing about being in a solid relationship.
And I mean, people can do that on their own. People do that on their own. But I know that for us being in this space together means that we're more likely to go, okay, what else can we do? Let's really see what we can do out in the world.
Yeah, and we do challenge each other, which is really nice, I think.
And it's challenging instead of the negative way of looking at challenging where we're getting challenged by each other or triggered. We challenge each other by actually pushing each other forward, by recognizing actually you might not realize how much potential you have, or you might not be as confident to actually step into that, but I can see that. So I want to actually support you to do that. So when you're like, oh, I really want to do this, I'm like, yes, you should do this.
Thanks.
Oh, Bec got all cute then.
So I reckon this is a really important stage, and I think if we have some listeners out there that find themselves at this stage, just at the infancy of this stage, and one side might be reluctant to step further into it. This was a bit of a lengthy conversation we would have on the odd occasion, wouldn't it, about commitment. And I never wanted to push you into like being committed into things you weren't, ready for. But I think it's a really important conversation where you're like, if something's stopping you, what is that? What's stopping you from going to this next stage, this next level of a deeper relationship?
Which is like, what do you need to feel safer in this? What do you need to drop deeper into this to have more trust or more connection?
Or maybe you might not find yourself ready to go there, and that's a conversation in itself, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think the conversation that we had about this was you were wondering what was stopping me, and I was able to speak to my past instances of this and what didn't work and why it didn't work and what I needed from you to feel safer. And what I needed from you was that I needed to trust that you weren't just going to walk out of me, which was for me my norm. Having, you know, I felt that was my norm. Oh yeah, this person's just going to get bored with me, sick of me. I'm not good enough, blah, blah, blah. And then they're going to walk and I'm just waiting for that to happen. So in having conversation with you and realizing how much commitment you have to it and that you're not going to walk, that if something does not work, then we will work through it and come out the other side stronger. And knowing that means that I'm able to commit deeper. So I was able to get down on one knee.
And I think this is the beauty of finding your person is, and I say this to people that I mentor, I'm like, when you have the right person, you actually heal each other in so many ways, because a lot of that is past story, isn't it?
Past story coming into present day.
Yeah, and we don't realize how much our past stories or our past experiences of relationships affect our present relationship. And so that's the beauty of being with the right person, where you can hold space and you can talk about it and you work through it together and grow, instead of it being a conflict that breaks you or triggers
being
you.
something that sits in between you and stops you from moving forward together. Hope you enjoyed today's episode on commitment. Please join us next time for
Stage 5 on cooperation. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe and follow us.
And check out our website at rekindlingrelationships.com.
Bye for now.
See ya.